The Caribbean Sea is a place of contrasts, serene and breathtakingly beautiful one moment, its turquoise waters stretching endlessly beneath a golden sunrise, and then, in the blink of an eye, transformed into a stage for high-stakes drama, where the calm can shatter and danger can emerge from any direction. On board the USS Gravely, an Arleigh Burke-class destroyer, the day began as routine, with the ship cutting a steady path through the gentle swells. Sailors moved with practiced efficiency, their boots echoing on the steel deck, engines humming beneath the sunlit surface, each crew member focused on their daily tasks. This ship is more than just a vessel. It's a floating fortress, bristling with advanced technology and weaponry, designed to project power and maintain peace anywhere in the world's oceans. But even the strongest predator must stay alert, for the sea is unpredictable, and threats can appear without warning. Suddenly, a blip appeared on radar, small, fast, and heading straight for them, breaking the monotony of routine with a jolt of adrenaline. In naval operations, an unidentified, fast-approaching contact is an immediate red flag, a signal that demands instant attention and swift action. The Combat Information Center snapped to life, voices sharp and focused, as officers and sailors coordinated to assess the threat and prepare for any possibility. The officer of the deck was alerted. Every sailor on watch knew their role. This wasn't a drill. The tension was palpable, and every second counted. The blip closed in, quickly identified as a Venezuelan Diadia-class patrol boat, armed and on an intercept course. Its intentions unclear, but its presence impossible to ignore. The atmosphere on the Gravely's bridge grew tense, the air thick with anticipation as officers weighed their options and prepared for the unknown. Was this a provocation, a test of resolve, or simply a reckless mistake? The stakes were high and the margin for error razor thin. The wrong move could be the last, with consequences that could ripple far beyond these waters. The Venezuelan ship kept coming, slicing through the waves with determination, its crew watching back just as intently, both sides locked in a silent contest of nerves. This was the start of a dangerous dance. A confrontation far from any friendly port, where help was distant, and decisions had to be made in the moment. The vast ocean suddenly felt small and crowded, the isolation of the open sea replaced by the closeness of potential conflict. The USS Gravely, bristling with weapons and the collective experience of its crew, was being challenged. The crew braced themselves, every muscle tensed for what might come next. The hunter on the horizon had arrived, its silhouette stark against the endless blue, a reminder that in these waters, power and danger often travel side by side. The standoff was about to begin, a test of will, skill, and resolve, with the eyes of the world watching from afar. With the Venezuelan vessel refusing to alter course, a silent tension began to build across the waves. The two ships, separated by nationality and intent, were now locked in a dangerous maritime dance. The USS Gravely, following strict naval protocol, knew that communication must always come first. In these moments, words can be as powerful as weapons. Over the radio, the message was clear and calm. Venezuelan naval vessel, this is United States warship. You are on a collision course. Please alter your course to starboard and identify your intentions. Over. The airwaves crackled with silence. No reply. The Venezuelan ship pressed on, ignoring the warning, its intentions unreadable, its course unwavering. The Gravely's captain, recognizing the escalating risk, ordered 5 short blasts of the ship's horn, the international signal for imminent danger. The sound echoed across the water, a warning impossible to ignore. Still, the patrol boat drew closer, undeterred by the blaring horn, closing the gap between the two vessels. The next step was a visible warning, a show of readiness that left no room for misinterpretation. Sailors uncovered a .50 caliber machine gun, making sure it was seen but not aimed directly. The gesture was deliberate, meant to deter, not provoke. The message was unmistakable. We are armed, alert, and prepared for any outcome. Tension peaked, 2 warships, bristling with weapons and pride, now just hundreds of yards apart. Every sailor knew that a single mistake could have catastrophic consequences. A single miscalculation, a misunderstood signal, could ignite conflict in an instant. The American crew stood their ground, disciplined and resolute, each member at their battle station, eyes fixed on the unfolding drama. They had sent their signals, by radio, their voices steady and professional, by sound, with the horn's urgent blasts, and by sight, with flags and visible weapons. Every method of communication had been exhausted. The crew was willing to talk, but equally prepared to fight if necessary. Their training had led to this moment. The ball was now in the Venezuelan court. The next move belonged to them. Their decision would determine whether this encounter ended in peace or spiraled into violence. Around the world, people watched with bated breath, news outlets broadcasting the standoff live, the tension palpable even thousands of miles away. The Gravely's crew waited for a response. Every second stretched into eternity. The standoff was razor-thin, the outcome uncertain. The next move could change everything. One decision, one signal, could alter the course of history. The game of signals had reached its climax, with the fate of peace or conflict hanging in the balance. To truly grasp the tension at play in this maritime standoff, you first need to understand the concept of international waters, a vast, open expanse where the rules of the sea are both simple and complex. Every coastal nation controls a stretch of sea extending 12 nautical miles from its shoreline. This is its sovereign territory, protected by international law. But beyond that invisible boundary lies the high seas, a global commons where no single country holds sway. In this case, both the US and Venezuelan ships were operating in these international waters. Legally, both had every right to be present, patrolling the open ocean. The US Navy, following its long-standing policy of freedom of navigation, regularly sends warships across the globe. Their mission, to ensure that sea lanes remain open for all, and to assert the principle that no nation can unlawfully restrict passage. For the United States, these patrols are about more than just presence. They're about protecting international trade, deterring piracy, and countering illegal activities that threaten global commerce. But for Venezuela, the sight of a US destroyer so close to its shores is deeply unsettling. It feels like a direct challenge, a show of force that cannot be ignored. Even when ships remain in shared waters, the presence of a foreign warship can be interpreted as a form of intimidation, a reminder of power dynamics at sea. The Venezuelan patrol boat, vigilant and alert, was determined to defend what it saw as its own backyard, ready to assert its nation's sovereignty. In this tense encounter, neither side was technically in the wrong. Both believed they were upholding their rights and responsibilities, each feeling justified in their actions. The USS Gravely sailed to uphold the principle of free seas. The Venezuelan vessel stood firm to defend national honor and pride. Their confrontation played out along an unseen line, one not marked on any map, but drawn by pride, politics, and the shifting tides of power. The rules of the sea are written in black and white, but their interpretation is often fiercely debated, especially when national interests collide. This was more than a simple encounter between ships. It was a clash of worldviews, a silent contest for influence and respect on the open ocean. This wasn't about starting a war, it was about sending a message. Both crews performed a careful dance of deterrence, showing strength without crossing into hostility. The Venezuelan commander charged forward, signaling defiance. The American captain held course, refusing to be intimidated. Every move, radio calls, horn blasts, visible weapons, was calculated. It was a mental game as much as a physical one. Each captain tested the other's resolve, betting on discipline and training. The goal forced the other to yield without firing a shot. Who would blink first? The Venezuelan ship wanted to claim it had escorted the American away. The Gravely wanted the patrol boat to back off. Both wanted to return home having stood their ground. This dance plays out worldwide, always a gamble. This standoff was just the latest chapter in a long, troubled US-Venezuelan history. Years of political tension and sanctions have fueled mistrust. Military encounters in the Caribbean are common, each one a potential flashpoint. Past incidents like the Venezuelan Navy's fatal ramming of a cruise ship show how quickly things can go wrong. US counter-narcotics operations are seen by Venezuela as provocations. Every encounter is loaded with political baggage. The Gravely and the patrol boat weren't just ships, they were symbols. Old grievances and recent clashes made this a powder keg. The risk of miscalculation was dangerously high. Beneath the military standoff lies a murkier world, smuggling. The Caribbean is a superhighway for illicit trade, with Venezuela a major hub. The USS Gravely's mission is officially freedom of navigation, but it's also about counter-narcotics. These destroyers spot smugglers and coordinate with partners to intercept them. Every patrol threatens criminal networks, and some say the Venezuelan regime's funding. Venezuela denies involvement, calling U.S. missions a pretext for pressure. Aggressive intercepts may be attempts to disrupt counter-smuggling. The patrol boat's maneuvers could be a distraction for smugglers nearby. The smuggler's shadow complicates everything. Political confrontation and crime thriller blend at sea. The stakes are higher than they appear. Imagine being the captain of the USS Gravely. You're responsible for $1 billion ship and hundreds of lives. A foreign vessel charges at you, ignoring warnings. Every decision is scrutinized by your crew and by superiors back home. One wrong move could spark an international crisis. Discipline is everything. Every sailor knows their job, every action is by the book. The Venezuelan captain faces similar pressure. Show courage, but don't be reckless. Both sides walk a tightrope, relying on training and trust. Professional navies share a strange respect. They know the stakes. That's why communication and de-escalation come first. It's a professional courtesy, a hope to avoid violence. Careful, measured actions keep these encounters from boiling over. Training and discipline are the real shields at sea. For what felt like an eternity, the two ships sailed on a collision course. The Gravely's crew had done everything right, warned, signaled, shown readiness. Then, the Venezuelan patrol boat began to turn, slowly banking away. The confrontation was over. The Venezuelan commander had made his point but chose not to escalate. A collective sigh of relief swept through the Gravely. The crew stood down, tension dissolving. The patrol boat shadowed them briefly, then turned for home. The blip faded from radar. The Gravely resumed its patrol, engines humming, sun shining. To outsiders, nothing seemed changed. But everyone on board knew they'd just stepped back from the edge. A quiet victory. No shots fired, but nerves tested. The encounter ended peacefully, but it raises a critical question. Should the U.S. continue its strategy of disciplined restraint, or does that invite more aggression? Restraint prevented a crisis and showed professionalism. It keeps the U.S. from being seen as the aggressor and maintains stability. But some argue restraint looks like weakness, encouraging future provocations. Should the U.S. respond more forcefully to set clear boundaries? This is the tightrope of power, projecting strength without being a bully. The standoff was a microcosm of this global challenge. The sailors showed discipline, but the tension remains. The question lingers. When does restraint stop keeping the peace?